A Maori battalion performing a haka in Egypt. This photograph, taken circa 1941 in Helwan, Egypt, is a powerful display of Maori cultural traditions. Wedding rings discovered by U.S. troops in 1945. Pictured are just a few of the thousands of wedding rings the N******************************************************************************************************************************************************************X This photo shows a Sam mask dance meant to purify the community and scare away evil spirits. Monks performed in heavy robes and sacred masks, while horns, cymbals, and drums provided rhythm. Twain in the lab of Nikola Tesla. This 1894 image was first published in April 1895 by the Century magazine as part of T.C. Martin's article. The first underwater portrait taken in 1899. Captured in this U.S. National Archives photo from September 16, 1918, are two young women on a delivery route, lugging a huge block of ice around using tongs. Roland was a massive 4,000-pound sea elephant who called the Berlin Zoo his home from the late 1920s until the Second World War. This photo of a monk carefully crossing a chain bridge at Union Sea, also known as Cloud Rock Temple, was captured in 1930. Shot between 1928 and 1929, the photograph captures Jackie, MGM's Leo, as a cameraman and soundman work beside him in his soundproof booth-size cage. Captured in Nushagak, Alaska, this 1912 photo shows an Eskimo medicine man, also known as an Aglegmiat shaman, with his arm draped over the shoulder of sick boy. This 1940 photograph captures a gas attack drill staged at a London hospital. Julia Pastrana was born in 1834 in Mexico. She was a singer and performer with a genetic condition called hypertrichosis terminalis that caused straight black hair to grow all over her face and body. This well-known photograph was taken by Paul Thompson in London, circa 1916. On the island of Nias, megaliths were used to honor prominent deceased individuals. This 1961 photo was captured during the excavations in Pompeii, using a technique perfected by Giuseppe Fiorelli. The children pictured here were known as breaker boys because of the work they did at coal breakers. This 1931 photograph of Albert Einstein and his wife Elsa was not taken at a Hopi Mesa, but at Hopi House, part of the Grand Canyon's El Topo Hotel. Shot in 1948, this image shows a Hawaiian fisherman holding a torch made from kukui nuts. Captured at the height of the Great Depression, this photo gives us a glimpse into the bleakness of the time. Pictured is archaeologist Gabriel Gustafson and his team at work during the 1904 excavation of the Oseberg burial mound. taken by Harry Burton. This photo shows when the doors of the fourth shrine inside Tutankhamun's burial chamber were finally opened in 1923. Pictured are northern Japan's Ainu people at the turn of the 20th century. Nicknamed yellow bellies, French knife grinders worked while lying on their stomachs to prevent back pain. Taken in 1953, this photo captures the devastation of the polio epidemic before widespread vaccination began in 1955. The Brooklyn Bridge took 14 years and over 600 workers to build. But what most people don't know is that the bridge claimed its fair share of lives. The plane imprint picture was left on the British cruiser HMS Sussex on July 26, 1945, when a Japanese kamikaze plane crashed into it. Stave Prisonas in Ebensee, Austria. The camp was part of the main Mauthausen camp near the town of the same name. This photograph shows Filipinos in loincloths sitting together at Coney Island in the early 20th century, as crowds looked on from behind barriers. Before the dangers of radioactive material were known, many women worked as radium girls. Taken in 1923, this photo shows two salesmen from the Protective Garment Corporation of New York performing a live demonstration of their lightweight bulletproof vest invention. 101 Dalmatians debuted in January 1961, marking a significant shift from the animated movies Walt Disney produced in earlier decades. This is what natural bodybuilders looked like in 1941. This photo was taken in the early 1900s at the Los Angeles Alligator Farm in Lincoln Heights, California. In 1943, 86-year-old Nikola Tesla was photographed for the very last time. In this photo, a multitude of miners and prospectors can be seen climbing the Chilkoot Trail in 1898. Frank Morris and brothers Clarence and John Anglin, locked up at Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, escaped from the prison on June 11, 1962. The bustling scene pictured is of a street market in Paris in 1920. After the First World War ended in 1918 and until the Great Depression in 1931. Photograph here is the Steam Man, invented by American inventors Zodok P. Diderik and Isaac Grass in 1868. In the 1930s, stilt walking formed part of popular festival arts and stage training for both comic and martial roles in Beijing. Air travel in the early 20th century was far from the luxury experience we've grown accustomed to. about 74,000 have been lost their lives. A Lapland warrior during the 20th century. Charles Cowha, a Hawaiian surfer, is pictured at Waikiki Beach in 1898, carrying one of the last Elias surfboards. This photograph of Swami Satyananda, a yoga guru and religious teacher, speaking in front of a massive crowd at the Woodstock Music and Art Fair, was captured on August 15, 1969. In this photograph, esteemed circus performer and animal tamer Jack Bonavita poses with 13 lions as part of his act, The Armchair. Pictured is the view across the cask yard at St. James's Gate Guinness Brewery, sometime between 1906 and 1913. Taken at Hengistbury Head near Bournemouth in 1941, this photo is a powerful depiction of what British soldiers during World War II endured during training. An oil slick at a shipyard on the Cuyahoga River ignited, leading to the massive blaze captured in November 1952. The children in the picture are carrying rattle boxes or small cans used to collect money and treats during festival. Photographed is the Statue of Liberty, shown from the rare perspective of the torch, looking down at the top of the earth. David Kalakaua is best known as the last king of Hawaii, as the first monarch to travel the world. Pictured is Nanda Gallant, a 9-year-old gardener who worked at a factory where she often packed goods with her mother. This group of people was photographed on June 19, 1900. They were celebrating Emancipation Day, better known as Juneteenth, which commemorates the end of slavery in the United States. Pictured is British explorer Karsten Borchgrevink using a theodolite or surveying instrument during the British Antarctic expedition of 1898 to 1900. This photograph was taken in a factory owned by engineer Charles Parsons, renowned for inventing the steam turbine. Pictured is a gigantic ocean sunfish, also known as a mola mola. Pictured is Cudjoe Kazula Lewis, one of the last survivors of the Clotilda, the last recorded slave ship to the U.S. Lewis, along with others who were aboard the Clotilda. Jimi Hendrix is pictured playing the guitar at Fort Campbell, where he was stationed as a paratrooper in the U.S. Army. Pictured are Peter Freuchen, a Danish Arctic explorer, and his third wife, Dagmar Kohn, a fashion illustrator in 1947. This chilling photo shows the devastation in San Francisco on Wednesday, April 18, 1906. On that day, Northern California was hit by a major earthquake of magnitude. In 1932, workmen were photographed as they worked on the face of George Washington at Mount Rushmore. Captured in this photo is the moment the Hindenburg, a German airship, caught on fire when it attempted to land in Lakehurst, New Jersey. This photo captures wounded Canadian soldiers at the Battle of Courcelette in the Somme region during World War I. This 1906 postcard by Edmund Fortier shows a house in Jen, Mali, West Africa, with a Tukulur-style facade. This 1908 photo sheds light on how child labor exposed kids to both physical risk and grueling schedules. There isn't any clear information about why the firefighters are pictured with a mannequin, but the context is known. This 1920 photo captures a former soldier turned beggar running alongside King George V coach. Photo captures a former soldier turned beggar running alongside King George V coach. In this 1948 image, Richard and Maurice McDonald stand in front of the not yet opened first McDonald's. Cameras, as we know them today, are relatively small and easy to transport. However, they haven't always been this way. Although Dia de Muertos, Day of the Dead, is now a large-scale, tourist-oriented celebration in the 1940s. A Chevrolet 490 sat wrecked on the streets of Washington, D.C. in 1923, drawing the attention of a small crowd of men and boys. Hélène Dutrieu was one of the most decorated Belgian pilots in the 1900s. Surprisingly, Dutrieu began her career as a bicycle racer before receiving her pilot's license in 1910. In the early 50s, watching the atomic test blast from the Nevada test site became a form of tourism. Officially opening on December 31st, 1909, the Manhattan Bridge, pictured here, took 11 years and around $26 million to complete. This photograph of a Japanese woman carrying her children in a bucket on her head was taken in the early 1900s. Here, the U.S. Navy's consolidated XP-3Y-1 prototype, Buno 9459, is pictured during rough water testing off California's Catalina Islands in 1935. In 1986, dozens of young people were photographed participating in a large-scale aerobic dancing event at the Olympic Stadium in Amsterdam. This photo of three masked revelers posing on a side street at the 1905 Mardi Gras held in New Orleans was captured by Alexander Allison. This 1947 photo shows four Anaheim Slick Chick Halloween beauty pageant contestants. On June 25, 1964, at a beach in St. Augustine, Florida, black protesters carried out a wade-in at a whites-only beach. Alvin Karpis, a notorious member of the Barker Karpis gang, was involved in bank robberies, kidnapping, and auto thefts. The preparation of coffee in Palestine was and remains an important social and domestic ritual.